Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our show today. We are broadcasting from Pittsburgh, I think. Pittsburgh, the gateway to the Midwest and Appalachia and all good things. So today is probably our 70th episode since we started this program in the middle of COVID. Actually, at the beginning of COVID, we started it. And we went from Silicon Valley to Hong Kong, China, India, Israel, London, back again through the heartland, the Rust Belt, all through. We spent about a year in the Rust Belt um, documenting what was happening in venture capital and tech in that region. And so that gives us a good perspective of what's happening globally. So let me just move along here and introduce a little bit more about our show and where you can find all of our goodies. Our YouTube channel, which is Silicon Global, has a lot of videos on it. It has actually all of these shows on it. All of the VC shows are on it. And so if you're looking to raise money, it's a good place to look and see whether you're a good match with the firm or whether they are a good match with you. And then we have our e-newsletter and we have our Circle membership. And we're everywhere on social media, of course, Zoom, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, you name it. And also books. My Silicon Heartland book, you can see there is a little bit blown out of proportion. That's because we're talking about the Silicon Heartland today and how it fits in and how it's moving from Rust Belt to Tech Belt. The last one over there is my new book coming out very soon. I have the cover. You can see it right here, the new Tech Titans of China, which compares to the Tech Titans of China, the original one, which came out in 2019. So much has changed in China. It's become very geopolitically centered. And so this is a total revise and update of this original book. But stay tuned for that. All of these books are on Amazon, except for the last one, the most recent one, which will be on fairly soon. Okay, so today we have our Ask a VC program with Catherine Mott. Now, this is an interesting connection about how I got reconnected to them. I was at a family office meeting in Newport, Rhode Island, and that's where I met Lindsay Fairman, and BlueTree Capital was there. And I thought, what is this Midwestern firm or this Pittsburgh firm doing in this family office forum in Newport, Rhode Island? But then I found out, hey, well, family offices, they have money, they are investors, and they are becoming a much more important force in the tech and venture capital and angel space. So I invited Lindsay and got reconnected with Catherine, who I'd first interviewed in Pittsburgh about 3 years ago, right, Catherine? We had dinner together.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. And I came loaded with lots of data for you because I was so excited to have you in town and so excited that you were focusing on the Rust Belt. So
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you. I remember that. I think it was a lunch, and you had a paper pile about that thick.
Yes, I did.
But it made an impression. It did make an impression. I remembered you. So, um, so they're in Pittsburgh, which is the heart of AI, partly because Carnegie Mellon University is there. It's also the heart of robotics because of CMU. So BlueTree is very connected with CMU, of course. It's a gateway to the Midwest. They're syndicating deals with other investors in the Midwest. And so that's good. They've opened a new Chicago office. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. I'm sure everyone would love to hear more about your B2B software focus and what kind of deals you're doing and why those are working for you. And then I think they would like to hear a little bit more about your background, Catherine, because you were so involved in building this Pittsburgh scene with the angel investing that you were doing in the micro fund. So I think we can get into that as well. And then Lindsay is here because she's becoming much more of a lead partner with the firm because they are raising a new fund. And they have already invested in quite a few companies from the first fund, which was set up in 2022. It's interesting that I think they got some lessons out of Fund One and all of the angel investing, which I'm going to ask Catherine about, because they are very much focused on companies that are geared for profits and M&A. They're not looking for unicorns. They're not looking for the big smashy deal. They're looking for the, the nitty gritty, build it up kind of Midwestern kind of deal. So that's my take about them. So I'm going to stop the share now, and then everybody, we can start with Catherine. Catherine, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into venture capital, and why did you get into it? I know your background was banking, so that's a good segue.
Yes, banking and securities. I had Series 63, 753, all of the licensure, but I had it primarily to set up investment offices in retail banks. So that was my foray into investments. But I became interested in angel investing in 99 and 2000. So you remember the big .com timeframe, and did a little bit of angel investing myself, but it felt so unprofessional. And so anyways, I had the opportunity to leave the banking business because of a merger. I went in and volunteered, and I did 18 months of research. And at that time, there was about 100 professionally managed angel groups in the United States. And so I took 18 months and just visited different groups and learned about their processes. And at the same time, the Kauffman Foundation was supporting a professional support organization that was to be a partner to the NVCA, which was the ACA, Angel Capital Association, in which this was, again, to professionalize the industry primarily. And so because of my research, I was asked to join the board, later on became chairman of the board, so we could continue with professional, promoting professional practices, being involved public policy. I served on the advisory committee for the Securities and Exchange Commission on capital formation for 4 terms. So been very involved in the region, and in the growth of professional, seed investing. What we learned over the years, our first 10 years, was that angels really need to have a professional process, and we raised a small angel fund. The angel fund did quite well. The timing was perfect. It was 2010 to 2020 timeframe, and we were fortunate enough to invest at the right time in the right companies to generate a 19.1% realized IRR. But what we noticed about the industry, Rebecca, was it was growing phenomenally. And it was a bit disconnected. There were crowdfunding jumping up, angel platforms popping up. And to be successful in seed investing and in venture investing, you really have to syndicate and be able to help fill the rounds and help the companies be successful. At early stage is all hands on. So you really picking your partners and syndicating was really primarily why we decided to professionalize. And at the time, because the angel, I guess the angel space grew to thousands of groups and different platforms, we found it best that they're in our area in the Midwest. There's plenty of angel groups, but there's not many Series A funds. And so, and a Series A in the Midwest wasn't what it is in the West Coast or the East Coast. There it was, on the coast, a Series A is 20 million. And in our little area of the Midwest area, it's anywhere from 3 to 7 million. It's not a large round, but it's enough of a round to support the companies to get them to where we like to see them, to profitability. So anyway, so we decided to do this pilot fund. That's what we're investing in. We're almost wrapped up. I think this is our last year of our investment period. And we are now approaching launching the next fund, a much larger fund. And in a point, and that's why you ran into Lindsay in Rhode Island, because Lindsay has been in California. She has been in, I'm trying to remember, not just Chicago, but Rhode Island, New York. I mean, she's been traveling the circuit and getting exposed to what it means to raise a larger fund, and particularly to approach institutions. And fortunately, Lindsay and our other partner, Sri Gade, were selected by NAIC to be to join their emerging manager program, and also Coolwater Capital. So they have been getting a great deal of coaching and mentoring and being ready to raise money from institutional investors. So that's sort of our story, where we've been, where we've come. We've
Okay.
watched Pittsburgh grow, Rebecca. I mean,
Yeah.
there was hardly anything when I started, and now, as you know, just this morning, the CEO from Gecko Robotics was on Squawk Box.
Oh yeah, that's a home run.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I mean, but now it's for me, I'm sitting back going, wow. Everybody else is going, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But they don't have the perspective. Yeah, they think that's normal, but it's not
Yes,
normal. It's not normal for the
yes,
Midwest at all. But
right.
it's a trend. That is a trend setter.
Indeed, indeed. I mean, I think we were talking the other day. We have, four rather large, most recently rather large unicorns that received money from coastal VCs. We are attracting a lot more coastal VCs, and that is one thing Lindsay and Sri has done very well, is maintain those conversations with coastal VCs as well, because the relationships are, as we said, is syndicating is so important, and being able to pick and select the right investors who think similarly about supporting companies to be successful and to be profitable sooner rather than later. So
Right. So yeah, definitely. So Lindsay, why don't you tell us about this unicorn search and the coastal VCs that you're bringing into these deals?
Yeah, so I think it helps to first understand what we look for, and then how coastal VCs fit into our ecosystem in Pittsburgh. So with BlueTree and with the experiences of the Angel Group, and then moving into the Series A fund, the original Angel Group had a broader thesis that looked at hard tech, consumer goods, and life sciences. And through that, Catherine and Sri were able to build a large network of robust investors across all those different areas of interest. For our thesis now, with the intense focus on companies that we can get to exit, and get to exit in a short, meaningful time, and have really strong returns in that exit, that's where we've narrowed our focus to B2B software companies that don't require as much capital as your deep tech or life science companies do. However, in the Pittsburgh ecosystem, we still have a variety of all these different industries and companies emerging. And so what we've done is we've maintained relationships and built new relationships with coastal VCs that either are sharing interest in the companies that we're investing in because they have a similar like mind, and they have a similar interest in getting toward an exit versus growing to a unicorn status, or they're looking for unicorns, and the deep tech, the life sciences that are emerging out of the Pittsburgh region need that type of money and align with their thesis. So even if they're not a fit for us, we're making introductions. I just did it this morning for a pre-seed deep tech company with a firm that's in the Northeast, because they're looking for their seed funding in about 6 months, and it's not a fit for us. But by having these relationships, we're able to continue to attract attention to the region to see
Oh,
the great things there.
okay, that's great. So who are some of the coastal VCs that you co-invested with so far?
Yeah, Catherine, I know you have the history with several firms that you have invested with over time. Maybe if you want to kick us off with the list. Oh, we have you on mute there.
yeah, there I am. Oops. Am I unmuted?
No, you're okay.
Okay, okay.
You're
Thank
good.
you. You know what? I'll pull up the list here. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
so give me a second.
I don't know if I have you on sharing, so you just have to tell us.
Okay, let me see here. One of the things is, give me a second here. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. No, we have a lot of we have coastal people on the show, so
Yeah,
and I know that they'll probably know some of these people. I probably will know some of them too.
yeah.
But
Absolutely.
anyhow, can we talk a little bit about Gecko Robotics? Why was that such a hit? Um, from Pittsburgh.
Well, Gecko Robotics, Gecko Robotics is a company that combines AI and robotics and sensors, and primarily they focus on the mining and the defense and the steel industry. So it's a unique, again, because of our history, our steel making history, and our, manufacturing history here. It was a good fit.
Yeah.
And they've been at this for about 10, 12 years, but they have crossed the barrier and been able to prove their their what can I say? Um,
Capability.
right, capabilities. Yeah, I was looking for the right word. It was
Yeah.
like it was up there
Yeah.
swimming. Yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
so
The CEO at Gecko Robotics tells a great story that when he was first starting the company, he was approached and did take some initial investment from a coastal VC, but the requirement was that he moved to Silicon Valley. And he moved there for about 4 months with his co-founder, and they realized that they were too far from their customer. And so that is when he made the decision that the company was going to be headquartered and remain to be headquartered in Pittsburgh and move back to be near the customers that he's servicing. As Catherine said, that is the heart of what's happening here in the Midwest. And he's right next door to those customers. That's a strong story when asked why Pittsburgh and why this region. And
right.
there are many that are like that.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
be close to the manufacturing base. Yeah, of course.
Hmm.
All
Hmm.
right. And then you have a deal that actually already exited from your first fund, right, Lindsay?
We do, correct. Yes.
Well, tell us about that.
Yes. So this was a company called Legal Sifter. It was a legal tech company. There is actually some relationship with the company in the angel fund too. And that's to broaden the conversation a little bit. That is where we see kind of the maturation of these relationships is that we meet them. We met many in the angel stage, and about a third of our portfolio has stepped up, and we've been able to invest with them in the Series A stage as well. And likely, similarly, we are finding companies right now that are in the seed stage that likely will be a strong deal flow for fund two. So Legal Sifter was one of those that there was a relationship already from the angel stage where there was an investment in their late pre-seed, early seed stage. And so then as they were preparing for another round of investment, we were able to come in and participate in a bridge while they were preparing for an investment that was going to be 6 to 12 months later. To a little bit of everyone's surprise, they instead ended up having an acquisition offer. And
Oh,
so we had a very early, unexpected exit. That certainly it's good to get an exit in the portfolio very early. We would have liked to have held on to that a little longer and seen the exit get a little bit larger, but
yeah.
it was a strong candidate for the overall thesis of what we look for in our companies and our CEOs. That was a nice early win for the portfolio.
Absolutely. Then now we have a question from Hal Kellman, who's here in Silicon Valley, and
Yeah.
he wants to know about your Kaufman Fund. What was happening with Catherine and the Kaufman Fund, and is there any connection with Lindsay and with the Kaufman Fellows?
yes.
Catherine, do you want to talk about the relationship with Kaufman?
So what happened with Kaufman was I was at the right time at the right place because I was with some of the well-known first-time ACA groups. So
Angel Capital Group.
angel capital groups, yeah.
Okay.
And the Kaufman Foundation at that time was looking to study and understand this formation of professionally managed angel groups. And so they did some research and they decided that this was looking very similar to the 1950s when venture capital was first forming, and all the different types of organizations and structures and deal terms and things like that. And later on, as you know, Rebecca, it became, well synchronized. And they thought that would be best for the Angel Capital Association, or Angel Capital in the United States as well. So they offered a grant for us to start a professionally managed ACA group. So John May was assisted by Marianne Hudson at that time. Marianne was with the Kauffman Foundation at that time. John May and a few others were taking the lead.
Mhm.
So I happened to be there at the right time, at the right place, because of my interest in professionalizing the investment process, and
Okay,
again, making it easier to syndicate. I was asked to be on the board, so it was really a grant for us to start this professional support organization.
I see. Okay, well, that's good. All
Yes, and
right,
I just to tick off a few names I looked
sure.
at on our list. We've talked to folks at Bessemer, NEA on the East Coast here, Thrive, and First Round are a few, just to give you an idea of who we.
Okay,
Um,
that's very good. Yeah, I know NEA on the East Coast and the West Coast, and
yeah,
Thrive Capital is trying to think where they are. Right.
I think they're on the West Coast.
Anyone on the program know about Thrive Capital?
They're I think they're on the West Coast here, and also we connect a lot with Drive Capital, which
Oh, sure.
came from Sequoia Capital. The
Right.
founders there, we actually interface with them much more frequently because they're in Columbus.
Right. And they have done some deals in Pittsburgh as well.
They have,
And so they've branched out from Columbus. They also have opened a Chicago office.
yeah.
So I think the Midwest is expanding in terms of the venture capital landscape.
Hmm.
And it has grown. And I think, Catherine, you probably have statistics on how much the venture capital market has grown in this Silicon Heartland region. But I know when I was doing the writing for my Silicon Heartland book, it's all in my book, and
Yep.
including profiles of all the individual firms. Thrive Capital was based in New York City. Thank you, Carrie. And so, yeah, I mean, it's gone from almost nothing to quite substantial, but it's definitely way behind Silicon Valley in the lead, which of course Silicon Valley has half of the deals in the United States, followed by New York and then Boston and Austin and the usual markets. But it's good to
Right.
have markets that are more on the frontier and are in different places and can offer different kinds of technologies that you may not see on the West or the East Coast. But even though Pittsburgh is in the Midwest, it's got a very strong AI center to it. And you must be investing in some AI related or AI specific deals or firms that are using AI. Of course, everyone is today.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever invest in an AI company. Those are going to be the unicorns, but there'll be companies using AI. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
As this plays out, and as a matter of fact, we continue to, because of CMU in our backyard, we are very fortunate to have access to AI experts. As a matter of fact, Sri Gade right now is in Las Vegas at the AI Summit, connecting with some of the top people in AI. But yeah, Pittsburgh is interesting. We are now ranked in the top 10 in venture dollars invested in autonomous vehicles, AI, and machine learning for 2024. Our deal count has increased. It just continues to follow the trends in that. And in 2024, over 182 unique Pittsburgh companies attracted 1.89 billion investments. Now, that's not a record for us. Our previous record is set at 3.6 billion in 2021. So we've been attracting large capital for some time. And
Right.
you can see I mean, the trend is, I think we sent you the slide deck that shows you the trend in
Yeah.
the number of deals and the dollars in the deals that are being done in Pittsburgh.
Right, right. So that's good. So if you have a coastal investor who's visiting Pittsburgh for the first time and they're kind of looking around, what would you show them? What would you tell them?
First of all, we would brag about, I would say, Duolingo,
Yeah,
uh,
Duolingo.
Gecko, Abridge, Aurora, and also, but if I had to show them one, it would be Loveless AI. That's
Mhm.
just been spun out of CMU, or Lovelace, yeah, Lovelace AI, by Andrew Moore. Andrew Moore was a senior executive with Google, and then Google had, of course, uh, built a complex here and has several employees here located in Pittsburgh because of CMU again, and hiring a very talented workforce, but also at a different rate. I mean, it's interesting because companies are learning, including NVIDIA. NVIDIA opened up an office here. And as a matter of fact, they partnered with ANSYS. That's another thing I would probably talk about with the big investors. We were even contacted by NVIDIA for introductions to various startup companies. Um, but the rate, the salary rates here are very different than they are on the West Coast. The rental space is very different than it is on the West Coast, and they're finding that it really is good to, like with Gecko Robotics, yes, build your headquarters in Pittsburgh, and they find that it actually, I think, goes to the bottom line much more effectively than it would if it was sitting in the middle of Palo Alto.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, Pittsburgh has had its fair share of flameouts as well. I'll call them flameouts. And some of them I'd written about in my book, bad, bad, bad. They should never have gone under. Once they get profiled in my book, they have to stay active. They gotta be huge success. But a few of them didn't make it. So one of them was in the vertical farming space. And what was most interesting to me about it was that they were right next to a steel company. The
Right.
like the last remaining steel company in Pittsburgh, in Braddock.
In
Was that
Braddock, right?
that was not the same one that just had the fire, right?
Yeah, no, the fire was over in,
Starts with a C. Cry. Yeah.
mm,
I know. I saw it on the news. I thought,
yeah, it
oh,
was, yes.
yeah, I hope that's not the same one because that huge steel mill right on the river there. And then
It's not in Braddock. No, it's not in Braddock. Yeah,
okay, but it's about 30 miles south of Pittsburgh from what I saw
right.
on the news. But Braddock's just outside of Pittsburgh, and so this vertical farming company went down, and
That was one Drive Capital invested in.
yeah, but one that Drive Capital that skyrocketed, that Drive Capital invested in was Duolingo, which was the language learning.
Hmm.
And that fellow who created that is a serial entrepreneur and from Google. And he knows AI and yeah, so for every flame out, there's a huge success. And every market has its flame outs. 1 in 10 don't make it, right? Um, all right, any questions? Lindsay, you want to highlight this? You put up here in the chat box annual report about the ecosystem. I see it's from Ernst and Young, and then Innovation Works, which is one of these powerhouses in Pittsburgh. That's one of the really interesting things about Pittsburgh is you
Yeah.
have all this old money around. You've got Heinz, you've got Carnegie Mellon, you got Frick. Who else? Yeah, clue me on a few others. These are the steel barons, right?
Yes.
They
That's
left.
correct.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't invest.
They don't invest. Well,
They
not
don't,
even.
but it's interesting. You bring up Innovation Works. I'm a former chairman of the board there, and I will tell you, first of all, it's the largest seed investment investor in Pennsylvania. So I mean, it outranks Philadelphia. So Innovation Works outranks Philadelphia as the largest
Okay.
seed. It is I think it's the 25th largest seed fund in the United States.
Okay. But
So
that's government sponsored, isn't it? Don't they
it's
have government
mostly
money?
state money, and they have been successful with a few foundations.
Mhm.
So they did get some local foundation money as well. And so yes, they have continued, and they've had multiple exits, which continues to feed the
Uh-huh.
pipeline as well.
So that's always an issue with venture capital and angel investing. How do you get these high net worth individuals and families to invest? So we have some people here from Hong Kong, and that's the story in Hong Kong, where there's all these super rich real estate people, but they don't really invest in startups. But they could have a huge impact if they did, because Hong Kong is in a similar path as Pittsburgh. It's got some success stories in there, some really good ones. And so these are lessons that go across country, across borders. And it's not the same story in Silicon Valley. There's just such an active venture capital. There's so much capital around. And you have these giant tech companies like Microsoft and Google and Amazon. They're all investing in tech as well. But in Pittsburgh, it's a shame that the institutional investors really don't support the local startups more.
Yeah, I think it's all about, and that's been handed down to the families through generations, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
And the pretty much the um, I guess their purpose was designed by the previous, family members. And so
yeah,
I think they limit themselves. They have limited themselves by, that by their directives. But,
right.
one of the things I found out, Rebecca, is there are more active angels who are in the lower investment bracket. That's one of the things we learned at the Angel Capital Association, is they have the net worth of 5 to 20 million,
Hmm.
because they're interested in taking a portion of their net worth and being able to invest it in higher risk investments to gain more upside in
Right.
in their holdings. So that is something that you don't see again with families, or a lot of the family offices as well, who are all about preserving capital, not about growing their net
Right.
worth.
Right. Right. So this has been a huge challenge for Pittsburgh because it was based on a lot of the old industries,
Yes,
traditional industries,
yes,
steel, oil, coal, the hard industries. And so then when the software came in, it's good that, because Carnegie Mellon is there, and that gave a base for software and AI, and then University of Pittsburgh in healthcare, right? That's very strong in healthcare. So these organizations have had a big impact on, otherwise it would have, and I did see Pittsburgh. I mean, I've been through Pittsburgh many, many times, and it's definitely come up in the last decade from what it was as a melting down steel capital.
correct.
So,
Yeah,
and then we know that story. I mean, that's throughout the Rust Belt. But now, the premise of my book was about how this Rust Belt was transforming into a tech belt. So where would you say we are on that? Are we about halfway through? Are we just really only beginning? Uh, Lindsay, I see you smiling. Give me an answer on that. Give me the next
Yeah.
generation answer on that.
Well, while it feels like Pittsburgh has really risen up over the past decade, it's a result of the 40 years before that. And so Carnegie Mellon's a great example of work that was done in the labs to create ANSYS in the 70s, work
Okay,
that was done to create the originations of AI in the early 80s. And
okay,
it grew from, research papers to regional recognition to then start attracting outside entrepreneurs, if you will, to come in, study, and start companies.
yeah,
And so it's been that growth over these, 40, 50 years that has turned it into now what it is, that feels to many looking from the outside in like it's happened overnight, or that it's happened, since Uber came into Pittsburgh to start autonomous vehicle testing. I think that was in 2016.
Are they still
But
there or
there's,
not? Are they still there or not?
believe they still have an office, but just by
Yeah.
Uber coming, that's where we then got Aurora and several other autonomous vehicle companies that are different tangents of, large trucking and others to then
Right.
come in and set up office.
Yeah,
Um, but it's that deep foundation that was laid before that has allowed now so many to come in and try things, fail, not be successful, but there's an ecosystem to support great talent to try again.
right. Yeah, that's the nitty-gritty aspect of
Hmm.
the
Yes.
region. Everybody here knows what nitty-gritty is, right? Who doesn't know nitty-gritty? They may not know it so well in Silicon Valley, I don't know. But we know it in the Midwest. That's how we were raised. But
Exactly.
yeah, that's how we were raised. We're raised to work really hard, and we may not be the most visionary people, but we work really hard and we still achieve our goals. Sorry, I didn't mean to insult anyone about the visionary aspect of it. Okay, so Silicon Valley people, chime in, get your questions ready for Pittsburgh. Come on. Ask them what's hot in AI in Pittsburgh. What are they doing in AI? They have some big contest coming up in AI in Pittsburgh. Can everyone apply for that?
Yeah, so there's a large conference that's going to be happening in September. It's the second year for this conference. It's called AI Horizons.
Okay.
Tickets just went on sale and they sold out within the same day. So it is
Oh, wow.
it's a very hot event to be coming to.
Right.
What's happened is with Carnegie Mellon being named the #1 school for artificial intelligence multiple years now, and recognizing the convergence of the energy creation that occurs within Pennsylvania, and then the high tech and high talent that's especially occurring in Pittsburgh around artificial intelligence and these
Yep.
emerging companies. Many
Yep.
of the freshly deemed unicorn ones that Catherine just mentioned. Pittsburgh and the state of Pennsylvania is really planting a flag in the ground to create an AI innovation hub and presence around Pittsburgh. And so this conference is celebrating and really identifying companies that not only are creating artificial intelligence, but they're ready to deploy into field operations, whether that's for defense, whether that's for healthcare, several
Mhm.
other verticals. Gecko Robotics is a great example.
Mhm.
And we're getting national attention, national speakers, national representatives and executives from large corporations that are coming and participating in this conference. So
When-
AI Horizons is one to follow and look for in the future.
Okay,
Mhm.
and what is the date of that?
That will be September 11th and 12th this year.
Okay.
And then their website, of course, will show future information as well. The first website that I linked to here, the AI Power Pittsburgh, it
Yeah.
is a result of the conference last year and having an ongoing highlight of artificial intelligence companies in the region. So that is a great resource to check out as well.
Okay. I see Robert has his hand raised. I'm going to ask him to unmute. And Robert, you can ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, wasn't sure about coming off a video or not. So yeah, thank you. I represent Connecticut, so I'm also on the coast. Maybe not as big as California and San Francisco, but I sat on the board of our the state venture arm, and through that we collaborate with other funds of funds. So I suppose my question is a two-part question. One, earlier there's a story about certain investors moving out to California to be closer to the investors, but they were further away from their customers and they moved back. My counter question to you is do you require that of someone you were to invest in who's elsewhere you think that have applicable market in Pittsburgh? Would you require them to move to Pittsburgh? That's question one. Question two is really about AI applied to tech. If I understood this right from my notes, earlier you mentioned you don't really invest in quote unquote, I guess companies making agentic AI solutions, anything like that, but you do invest in strategic high value prop companies using AI in a meaningful way. So apply to a vertical. Are you looking at defense, energy? So that's my second question. Where's the strategy there for BlueTree? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Catherine, do you want to take the first question and I'll answer the second?
So the first question was about,
If we require
do we
companies to
require?
move.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you know, it's more most of our companies we like to keep close to us. That's why we focus on Pittsburgh to Chicago. There's so much hands-on work, Robert, that is required of the board to help the company continue to scale. And so, not that we would hold them back from moving, but our preference would be to have that, again, be successful enough to be like Duolingo, Gecko Robotics, Abridge, Aurora, Lovelace, to get the investors from the coast to invest here. And it has been attractive to such funds because of our cost of living here. I mean, and because we have, plentiful talent here. So they don't have to move like they used to.
Right.
And I can take the second question. So Robert, what we invest in are companies that are providing solutions to their industries. And so when we say we don't invest in AI, what we mean by that is we don't invest in infrastructure or deep tech AI solutions, maybe building, particular foundational model tools or things that really, I believe the coasts are more in position to support companies like that, having the larger corporations near you that would be ripe for them to be working with. What we more invest in are companies that are using AI to provide an optimal solution to their customers. And all of our companies are employing AI one way or another. Now, that being said, CMU, you get a lot of research that comes out of CMU that could lead to strong AI infrastructure solutions. And so to your question, are there companies in Pittsburgh? Absolutely. And that goes all the way from deep tech robotics that are all employing AI and ML solutions to infrastructure solutions, and then up the stack to your business solutions that are employing AI to provide an optimal solution. So depending on where your interests are, we can certainly talk and help to identify companies that you might want to check out.
Okay.
Thanks a
good.
lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about that whole robotics R&D headquarters that's on the river right underneath the bridge, and they took over a space that was an old industrial something or other. What's happening with that?
That's called Robotics Row. Again, that was really driven by Innovation Works and major corporations that are interested in testing the kind of technology that is being spun out of CMU. So CMU has a large building there where it's all testing of robotics. It's like, consider the old steel mill buildings, right? They're these big cavernous buildings, and they can cut and slice and build the way they need for the robotics testing. There's also the robotics factory, which was led by Innovation Works to again to more or less help new companies turn their IP into real businesses.
Right.
So things like that. So, but there's about 4 buildings. I'm trying to think. Some of the larger corporations, like trying to think, they have large tractors and things like that. Caterpillar, some of those have their offices there, and they're testing, trying to build around the equipment there, or the opportunities there. So
Yeah.
it's really, I mean, it's 4 buildings, 4 large buildings, and it's completely full.
I interviewed the guy who set that up, kind of the guy behind it, Red. His name is Red.
Red Whitaker.
Oh yeah, what a character.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah, half the interview I didn't understand, but I took notes anyhow. And, he's way out there, and you need people like that. You need people who are kind of half crazy, like other people we know who are in engineering and deep tech and frontier tech. You need those kind of people. So that's great. Anyhow, so there was a question as well about machine learning. Oh boy, machine learning and vertical AI software companies. It's a question from Silicon Valley. What should Silicon Valley investors be looking for in Pittsburgh and in those areas? Machine learning, vertical AI software companies. Since you're an investor in B2B software, you must have a huge list of targets you're going after. Or maybe it's the other way around. I don't know. What is it? Capital chasing
Yeah.
companies or companies chasing the capital?
For us, it really has to be a business solution. You know what I mean? You know, it has to be a problem and a business problem and a business solution
Okay.
that they're solving. It tends to be, and Lindsay, you can speak to this about what you see more and more, like in supply chain and some of those industries. But yeah, it really is for us. We're looking at the problem they're solving and the market opportunity that it creates.
Okay. And so do you have a list of companies that you're going after, or how many of your companies are in that space already? Machine learning or vertical AI software? How many of your 13 companies are already in that space?
At
Lindsay,
this
you
point,
can,
at this
yeah.
point, all of our companies are employing AI to provide better solutions to their customers.
And
And
machine learning along with that.
I would say maybe 2/3 are going deep into machine learning. Others are finding efficiencies with products that are coming out, through other providers, and then using that to build better solutions as well. We have those that are baking them into their product, and others that are baking it into their back office for efficiencies to, help the bottom line as
Okay.
well. So we're seeing it across the portfolio. Harold, to your question, similar to my response to Robert, there's a lot that is in Pittsburgh, and there's especially a lot, no surprise, but especially a lot in the pre-seed seed space. So again, depending on what it is that you're looking for, I'd be happy to connect you with companies. What we track and look for, because of investing in the Series A space, we are really strict on post revenue and seeing a certain amount of revenue for us to consider the companies in our diligence. And so the pipeline does narrow, going from that seed to the Series A post revenue that we look for. But there is a lot in the pre-seed coming out of the labs and then going to seed stage.
Well, can you name a couple of your companies that you want to highlight here? In this
Lindsay, I'm thinking maybe the deal flow, Ani's deal flow list as well.
Yeah, we have many that we're tracking in our own deal flow. Yeah,
Sure.
but Rebecca, are you referring to some in our portfolio?
In your portfolio, yeah, and
Yeah.
those that you're looking out for that might be in your portfolio in the future.
Yeah, Catherine, do you want to speak about our portfolio? I can speak to some future ones as well.
Yeah, so actually, I think I put aside a couple of things. Adelaide.
You go ahead, Lindsay, while she gets that in front of her, but tell us
Okay.
about what's on your horizon.
Yeah, so there's a couple of really interesting companies here that I'm tracking locally. One is in a pre-seed stage that they are building machine learning models designed for numbers and spreadsheets. This company is they just closed their pre-seed round. They're coming out of CMU, and they're building models in a different way that are not based on how the encoders are looking on text-based relations of words to each other, but instead understanding numbers and relations of numbers for spreadsheet analysis. So a lot of, I think, very interesting things to come with this company. And I'm really interested to see where they move as they go from pre-seed to seed stage and find some industry fit.
Okay.
Another one is sorry, I have a couple, Rebecca. I'll just mention one more, but really excited about this one. And the founder is just an amazing person, which we haven't talked about the culture and ethics of the founders that we work with, but that's really important to us. So this is a professor that has developed a machine learning solution for looking at the physics of manufactured products and looking at the surface to ensure that it's meeting a certain level of expected quality. And he's finding really strong fit across many different industry verticals with metals, plastics, you name it, and just getting really, really strong early pilot adoption. He's the world leader on this topic and has written papers and taught on this topic for his whole career. And so having an industry leader now create a solution like this and being able to work closely with him to understand his vision for the company, it's one that I'm really excited for, and doing everything we can locally to keep them moving forward.
What's his name and what's the name of the company?
Oh, he's gonna love them. I'm gonna shout this out. His name is Dr. Tevis Jacobs. He's out of Pitt, and the company is, I believe it's Surface Solutions. I hope I have that right.
Okay,
But happy to connect anyone that would like to learn more for him as well.
okay. I like the fact that you brought up culture because we didn't talk too much about that except for the nitty-gritty.
hmm
But just in a few words, how would you say the culture differs in Pittsburgh from other markets, other
Yeah,
hubs?
yeah. So our founders that we work with, and I know many firms say this and look for this, but we really are looking for the founders that are rolling up their sleeves, gritty founders, capital efficient. We look at and diligence not only the founder, but also how they interact with their leadership team. We
Mhm.
look for how they treat each other, mutual respect, engagement for how they select, the people to surround themselves with. One of our founders, and might be one that Catherine mentions, but one of the reasons that we really were attracted to the company and what they're doing is because of the leadership team that he built around himself when he launched the company. And that included hiring a former boss of his. And so that boss came in and became his COO. So roles were reversed. And to see how they balance each other out, the mutual respect, and the way that they just will roll up their sleeves and help each other out no matter what is needed. That is the type of founders that we look for and invest in.
Very good. A little bit like how Catherine and you work together. You seem to be a really good team. And Catherine, we're swinging back to you about the question about naming a few of the portfolio companies.
Yeah, actually, I do have Aaron on the list, Lindsay, but I was going to have you talk about it because you're the one that's closer to it. But I'll mention Adelaide Metrics. I think this is one of our highest performers right now, and what they do is they make it easy to measure media quality and drive the consistent impact in the fragmented mediascape. So they're looking at measuring, analyzing, optimizing. And they have a lot of major customers like, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, major companies. And so and speaking of culture, the founder, Mark, he gave most of the company to his co-founders.
Oh,
Um, he actually invested his own money. So he has a significant percentage, but he really wanted them to all have so much stake in the game for success. And it's quite a team that's very cohesive and enthusiastic. So similar to what Lindsay was talking about with Aaron.
all right. Very good. I'm glad we have Connecticut represented here, and we also have Silicon Valley represented here, San Francisco represented, and Hong Kong represented by a few people from groups that are investing in these cross-border deals, not just cross-state, but cross-border deals. Have you had any cross-border action, or maybe I could let Lawrence or Carrie ask a question of what they have on their mind? Carrie or Lawrence? Do you want to ask Lindsay and Catherine anything?
Hi, Rebecca. Can you
Yeah.
hear me? This is
Yes.
Lawrence. Lawrence in San Francisco. No, I learned a lot from the Lindsay and also the pipeline. And then when you invest in seed stage and then moving on to the later stage of the investment. So we are here to learn. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you for that.
And your number one takeaway?
No, nothing special, but they always add to what I know.
Okay, good. Carrie, you want to add to that?
I'm learning a lot too. I think it's fantastic because it's actual real products, building upon the oil industry and all the manufacturing, the steel industry. So I think it's a great opportunity. It's not all software. It's because not everybody can do software. So this
Yeah.
gives opportunities growth-wise, work-wise to a lot of people who are good in manufacturing and mechanical works, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
Got
real
it.
melting of AI, which a new technology with old
Yeah.
traditional rusting industries. So
Yeah.
this puts
Yeah.
Pittsburgh in a unique situation, actually.
Well, and some of the best, if I may, Rebecca, some of the best applications for AI are what are identified as the dull, dirty, and dangerous. And
Oh,
those
yeah.
are the industries that make up the Midwest. And so being able to employ, modern solutions, breakthrough solutions like AI to solve these traditional big, dirty, dangerous problems
Yeah.
is a perfect application.
Yeah.
And what we say that we do, especially with the Midwest, is we discover the hidden gems and we
Mhm.
invest in the best companies you've never heard of. So we're not chasing the hype or the headlines. We are looking for the companies really solving those real industry problems. So I appreciate that,
Right.
Carrie.
No problem. I think of Pittsburgh as the East Coast, not the Midwest.
It is, but it's Western Pennsylvania. It's right on the border of Ohio. So I know what you mean. It's kind of
Yeah.
on the fringe.
And our
Yeah.
culture here, Carrie, is very
Yeah.
Midwest. It isn't,
True.
we're not like Philadelphia, which fits right in with New York City.
Okay.
We are Midwesterners.
Midwesterners.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, but another thing I wanted to mention too is the fact that the AI companies have moved into Pittsburgh. Google is there.
Yep.
Microsoft is there. Any of the giant AI companies yet, like Anthropic or OpenAI? I mean, it was interesting that Google took over an old Nabisco factory, and now it's their headquarters in Pittsburgh. So,
Yeah.
and who are some of the other big tech companies from Silicon Valley that moved in?
Apple,
So,
NVIDIA,
mhm.
trying to think,
So another strong sector in Pittsburgh is the finance sector and fintech.
yes.
And we have BNY is a huge player in
Okay.
fintech and really big on AI. They actually have a center that focuses on the ethics of AI. And so they play into the industry a lot and maybe don't get enough recognition for that.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you brought that up because part of their name is Mellon.
Exactly.
And that's got to be a Pittsburgh connection there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's good. All right, well, thank you. I know there's several people on the Zoom who also are fintech investors. So, all right,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
thank you so much. It was really interesting and give us some unique perspective from a city that is sometimes overlooked and should not be overlooked at all. So thank you again, and we will be actually posting this fairly soon, and I'll share the recording out with everyone. I
Thank
really
you,
appreciate your
Rebecca.
contribution, and thank you, everyone. And our next show will be forthcoming. All right,
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
take
Thank
care.
you.
All right,
Thank you.
bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.